why don't you, obviously, this partnership with Kentrade, really interesting partnership, particularly in an emerging economy as well, and your own experience from Singapore will be able to provide those learnings. Could you walk us through how the partnership originated between Global E-Trade Services and Kentrade, and how have your learnings kind of shaped building future relationships and stakeholders in the industry?
Thank you, Jack. And before I answer the questions, I think it's important for me to set the context by giving you some background to our group of companies. So GETS, Global E-Trade Services, the company that I'm CEO to, is actually a wholly owned subsidiary of Crimson Logic. So between Crimson Logic and ourselves as a group, we are very much focused on working with governments and businesses to capture new values in global trade. For the businesses, we have actually developed a trade fulfillment platform called Calista that helps businesses to manage their logistics, compliance, and financing requirements when moving their goods across the border. For the governments, we have over 30 years of experience in working with them to develop, implement, and operate mission-critical trade facilitation systems. So we have also established a platform that we have branded as the Trade Facilitation Platform that encapsulates the best practices in the area of trade management, trade administration, trade security. The TFP allows us to really work very closely with the government partners and customers of ours to ensure that mission-critical trade-related systems such as the customs management system, the single windows, the free zone systems can be delivered on time and with very high quality. So our relationship with Kentrade was facilitated through a G2G, a government-to-government arrangement way back in 2021. Sorry, way back in 2012, rather, not 21. 21 is this year, it's 2012. So the objective for us really was to partner Kentrade to implement the Kenya electronic single window system jointly. And this system has been modeled after the success of the world's first electronic single window for trade facilitation that we as a company have developed and operate and are still operating in Singapore. So since then, the partnership has grown from strength to strength. We recently upgraded the Kenya single electronic single window by leveraging on our latest platform capabilities. We have also implemented the Maritime single window module to strengthen Kenya's compliance to the IMO's obligations. At the same time, we are working closely with colleagues from Kentrade to strengthen the system's risk management capabilities. If you were to ask about looking into the future, we believe that our partnership with Kentrade can extend beyond just addressing the government concerns to also serving the businesses. In particular, we could work on assisting Kenyan companies to access overseas markets in a more efficient and informed manner. We can also do this by providing the companies with good market insights to identify addressable markets and map out the compliance requirements for importing their goods into those markets. Once they have decided on the targeted market, they could also tap on our digital services and our network of logistics service providers to manage the logistics of moving their cargoes. And on top of that, together with the Kenyan partners, we could also jointly develop trade financing and payment services to fuel the business's export activities. So I think I've broadly answered those two questions of yours. I'm happy to be responding to more of the queries that you might have.
Yeah, no, it's interesting when you say that and you talk about the single window implementation overall, and it's particularly an interesting element of the webinar itself. More widely on digitalization, maybe in emerging economies, I'm sure it's not just Kenya that you guys are looking to work with. I'm sure there are more emerging economies that you can apply your own experience to. How can you take learnings from a maritime nation like Singapore, one of the leaders in digitization, and apply them to emerging countries and emerging economies more widely? Where do you think you guys would be able to help the most, in your opinion?
I think in the area of trade facilitation, we can be of service to almost any countries in the world because of our very broad range of experiences working with more than 20 over countries across the world to deploy and develop and operate mission-critical trade facilitation systems. At the same time, our B2B platform, Calista, has also been rolled out and been serving customers across many countries. not just in Singapore. We have a huge sort of a number of companies or users coming from North America. We have also users, obviously, in the Asian economies such as China, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia. And we are starting to foray into markets such as the Latin American markets. Africa, slowly but surely, we will also be introducing our B2B services. But nonetheless, I think when you look across the sort of digitalization landscape across the world, different countries are at different levels. That is to be expected. Nonetheless, I think the good news is that the technology has advanced to a state where if companies and countries are interested to explore digitalization initiative, they can have access to good services and in many cases, rather economic ways, right? Especially with the advent of the software as a service model that many of the technology companies have starting to adopt, are starting to adopt. Right? So it means that countries and companies can explore using technology tools without having to really dig really deep into their pocket, right? And they can try it, almost pay for those services in bite size, pay as they use. I guess overall, if we want to look at really working with or really to democratize this whole digitalization of trade and supply chain, what really is a key bottleneck, I think, remains to be the mindset. Generally, companies, people in general, actually, they have this inertia to change for certain. So if things are not broken, they will ask the question of why not change? Why change, right, in the first place? So I think we all need a very good motivator for things to happen, for digitalization to happen. And in fact, I think COVID-19 has actually become a very good motivator, right? Because of the impact of COVID-19, a lot of companies, especially the small and medium-sized enterprises, are starting to look at digital ways of doing their business. And that, I think, will help to in a sense, catalyze the entire digitalization movement across the board and quite globally.
And it's interesting when you mentioned the pandemic there. Obviously, we've seen over in the US at the minute. We're here in the UK with Felixstowe, which is also having its own congestion problems just because of this surge in demand. Do you believe that the pandemic-driven e-commerce, the surge, has it changed approaches to supply chain management, or has it just made the digitalization, the value of it that much clearer? How much, when you're speaking with clients, has there been a tangible change between maybe 2019 and now? What's been the difference in your opinion?
I think the impact of e-commerce, the surge of e-commerce on digitalization and supply chain is very real and is very clear. I just want to give you one very simple example. When you ship sort of a normal cargo from one country to another, when you containerize it, you probably need to only declare using one permit for export and then another for import because it covers the entire container. But when you do e-commerce shipments, each small parcel requires a permit. So you can just imagine, just in this very small little area of permit filing, you have already multiplied the number of permit requirements and processes and data requirements many fold. So that shows you how much e-commerce will be creating in terms of challenges and also opportunities for supply chain players and also for digitalization stakeholders across the board in the trade value chain. And I think this entire movement or escalation of e-commerce is further, I would say, boosted again by COVID-19. It makes the need for or rather the difficulties to have always close physical proximity to access products, to access goods, access partnerships, to look at contracts, to negotiate, to look at pricing. All this means that people have to go digital, and e-commerce happens to be the way for us to deliver goods to the very last mile, to the individual who's sitting somewhere in US, in Africa, in Latin America, or even in Singapore, just to receive their daily, I don't know, staples or rice or oil or pasta, what have you. So I think it is a very, it's just going to continue to escalate in terms of its impact, and we all have to be ready for it. And in this regard, I'm obviously happy to say that over the past 1.5 years, we have been rolling out various programs and initiatives to assist companies to really be more adept to riding the e-commerce wave, especially amongst the SMEs, the small and medium-sized enterprises. So, for instance, we have actually rolled a rather successful program to help companies import e-commerce products into the US. You may be aware, when you import e-commerce products into the US, there are many different compliance requirements that you need to meet, right? Especially if you are coming from outside of the North American region. So through our understanding of the compliance requirements, through our offering of the digital filing services, and our ability to work with a network of logistics service providers, we are then able to actually help a lot of Asian exporters to move their cargoes successfully into US, get it cleared by the customs, and also complete the last mile delivery for them. So that actually has, I think, added quite a fair bit of value to the SMEs in Asia. In addition to that, we have also been helping our small and medium-sized logistics service providers to be more competitive in this new world. Like I've explained earlier on, the logistics fulfillment of e-commerce goods and cargoes are a lot more complex and really quite different from traditional cargo. So a lot of the SME logistics service providers are not able to cope. So what we have done was to create a platform known as the Calista Freight Exchange, where we allow the logistics players to buy and sell services from each other so that they can truly collaborate and sew together and stitch together their services before they offer it to the end users. And the end users here likely could be a major exporter of e-commerce products such as a consolidator, or it could be a marketplace itself. Right? So to help them to be competitive and to be able to fulfill e-commerce trade movements. And on top of that, we have also rolled, leveraging on our AI and blockchain technology, a financing program that help a lot of our SMEs to secure the needed financing during the very difficult times. In fact, in a very short term of 9 months, we managed to sort of fund more than 100 SMEs in Singapore and we have received applications of, I think, more than $70 million.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's really interesting, and obviously that was a kind of a broader view there of digitalization across the supply chain for global e-trade services. What are your goals moving into 2022? We're only 2 months away, or two and a half months away now, so it's coming around very, very quick. So, what are your goals, in your opinion, both for the company and maybe for your own departments?
That sounds like a budget question, that I've been asking.
Well, it could be anything you want.
Yeah, there are really 4 main items that we are focusing ourselves on for next year. Number one is really to deepen and strengthen our core offerings. We are in the process of transforming ourselves to expand and evolve our platform into a truly global platform that serve the businesses as well as the government, so that they can truly capture the value of a global trade. In particular, we will be anchoring our platform on our integrated compliance services, at the same time supplemented with relevant logistics and financing offerings. The second area of focus for us is really to integrate the business to business, the B2B platform, Calista, with the government-centric platform, the TFP, so that we can truly address the converging needs of governments and businesses better. Further to that, we would want to harness technology, especially AI, to make sure that our services are going to be more intuitive and they can generate deeper insights for our customers. The last item, a much broader sort of a dream of ours that we want to start to do more about, is to truly democratize trade, making it really accessible, predictable, and easier to fulfill for all, especially the small and medium-sized enterprises.
Just finally, because you've all been very, very gracious with your time today. I always ask this at the end of my interviews. What success looks like for supply chain digitalization in 2022? It's a big question, of course, but from your opinion, obviously, the past 18 months has made that digitalization, the value, a lot clearer. But how can companies capitalize? How can emerging countries capitalize by using services like yours to really make their cargo movements a success in 2022, in your opinion?
I think very simply, they just have to do it. I'm not just borrowing the tagline from Nike, but really, we just all have to try to make use of some digital tools, to explore how digital tools can help us in different ways. It can be very small ways, it can be very big ways. It can be just about starting to digitize your data using an Excel program to considering a huge, very holistic ERP system, anything. So the more digitalization that more of us are involved in, I think the better it will be for the future for all of this, right? In terms of supply chain digitalization. But I think the greater level of success that I hope to see in 2022 is where governments and businesses can truly interact in a very seamless manner on a cohesive platform that addresses both the requirements of governments and businesses in areas of security, competitiveness, and connectivity. I think that can be a challenge, but that is something that we must work towards.